Did you catch all the big movie trailers at this year's Super Bowl? If not, we'll catch you up, tell you which ones we're excited for. Then we're getting to our case this week. Is it okay to host an alcohol-free game night if some of your guests want a drink? We'll get to our verdict. Stay tuned. What you are listening to is real. The parties involved are not cool. They are actual geeks with a case pending in the court of public opinion. The party's case has been dismissed, and the dispute will be settled here on our podcast. There will be no lawyers. There will be no witness testimony. The judge's decisions are final.
Hello, I'm Judge Ivan.
I'm Judge Jonathan, and this is Geeks on Trial. Today's case, Unhappy Hour.
Welcome to Geeks on Trial. This is the podcast where we settle petty disputes between actual geeks over movies, video games, board games, and more. If you'd like to submit your own geeky case for a future episode, you can email us at geeksontrial@gmail.com. You can also support the show over at patreon.com/geeksontrial for just $5 a month, where you can get early access to both our audio and video episodes, plus our bonus show, Geeks on Trial Sidebar.
Yeah, last week, we talked about our favorite items from the Taco Bell menu.
It's true.
Both past and present.
It was a fun episode that made me run out and buy Taco Bell after editing.
After editing.
It's
my favorite time of day after editing.
Morning editing, after editing, evening editing. It's my life now.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. We do that twice a month. $5 helps the show out. You get some bonus content. You're going to want to go over there, people. You're going to want to go over there, trust me. But hey, did you catch that big game there, Ivan?
Nope.
You didn't catch it, huh?
I didn't watch any. So today I watched the halftime show on the YouTube. But that's about all I did. And some movie trailers.
And did you like the halftime show?
I like Usher, and I like all the people that he brought on. It was Usher, Alicia Keys, Little John, and...
Did you say Little John?
Yeah, isn't that not his name?
Lil John? You made it... You did the white version.
I did. Well, look at me.
Right, are you looking it up right now?
I'm making sure it wasn't Little Wayne.
Oh, wait, was it?
No, it was Little John.
No, it was Lil Kim.
Oh! No,
you know what? It was Little Richard.
Now listen, if they figured out, we have AI now, we could do that. Lil Richard, his son.
That's right. Maybe it was Stuart Little.
But
all the Littles should get together and do something.
And have a boy band, the Lils.
Or a reality show.
No.
Well, this reality show could be about their boy band.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So did you watch the big game?
No, I didn't watch that.
No.
I caught a little bit of the Puppy Bowl.
Oh, I always forget that's on unless I'm reminded, even though I reminded guests of our podcast. But I forgot.
Right. Well, it's on HBO Max, it's called now. Puts up, I think they have the Super Bowl 2 proper now, is on Max. So it's there. You can watch it. Pretty exciting stuff. But yes, as you alluded to, the trailers I did also watch just on YouTube where they were... Pretty much, I think the studios put them up simultaneously. Sometimes there's a longer version.
Right, which makes sense because a lot of times in these commercials, they'll be like, to see the full version of this, head on over to youtube.com/whatever the fuck.
And there's some big, this is a big chance. It's the beginning of the year. This is an early time for studios to get people excited about what they have coming out this year. There were a dozen or so that we can talk about, but I don't know if you just want to start with ones you're looking forward to the most or that you thought were the most interesting.
There wasn't really a ton that, caught me of, I need to go see that movie. The only one that, we spoke about it on the show was the Twister remake, Twisters.
That's a sequel, not a remake, sequel.
You're right.
That's why there's an S in it. It's more Twisters.
Well, because there's probably going to be multiple Twisters coming into this town in a city near you.
Isn't there more than one in the original two, technically?
Yeah, there is.
It's not just one, right?
I was kind of hoping with this one, I was like, oh, they're not, which is good and bad. They're not making fun of, but they're not poking at the old movie at all. They didn't have a cow fly in.
Right. Well, that's probably going to happen.
Yeah.
Actually watching that trailer, it made me kind of nostalgic because they don't really make disaster movies in that style anymore.
No. And
I'm sure someone will we'll
Oh, yeah,
point to ones that do
oh, they
exist.
do. The Rock made 14 last year. What are you
Sure.
talking about?
Sure.
But I do like. You're right.
Yeah.
I have a nostalgia for like the Airplane movies and like the movies of like the 70s and 80s.
Airplane movie? You mean Airplane? The comedies?
But like the
Airplane
ones where
movies?
they caught like Airport 75. The ones.
Oh, you're
that-
going back way further than I am.
But that's like the era of those movies.
I'm thinking the 90s. I'm thinking Independence Day, Armageddon.
Oh, okay. See, I have more
Deep
of a
Impact, that kind of thing.
a one of like the old ones from like the 70s.
Twister. Okay, yeah, you're a weirdo. Yeah, no, I don't watch that.
No,
shit.
I like
It
actual
sucks.
movies. Those early 90s movies
That
are
shit
trash.
sucks. But you love Twister. You're most excited about Twisters.
You have to agree that the movie Twister was kind of trashy. Like it wasn't a great movie.
Sure, I can't say I've watched it in
Yeah.
20 years, so I can't give you a real detailed rundown. But I actually was like, you know what? This taking me back to that time when a movie could just be. You're going to be there's a big screen. You're going to have a crowd, and
Right.
you're all going to be excited to see a bunch of shit
Like
that
a Mars
gets
Attacks.
destroyed.
That's the good one I always think of. That's
Sure.
Mars Attacks is a good explosion movie.
Now I love that you started with
What?
Twisters. To me, the one for me that was the most like. Well, I say the first one I saw that I was interested to watch was the Wicked trailer, which I think looks cool. I actually think it looks better than
Yeah.
I expected it to look. I think Wicked has some really good music. I'm not a huge fan of the musical overall.
Which I think
But-
we've talked about. You've seen that, right? You've seen Wicked?
Yeah, I've seen it. I have this, I've listened to the soundtrack and stuff. And it's fun. I think I am one of the people who I read the book first, and the book is very dark and weird.
Right.
And the musical is kind of like, what if it was a little happier?
Right. Well, that's the thing. Like you can get dark and weird in a Broadway play, but usually the people want to see the musical, like the upbeatness of it. Which
I get it.
I'm wondering, what do you think the movie is going to take place? Are they going to follow the book, or do you think they're going to just copy the Broadway play?
It's hard to say. I think it's going to be closer to the Broadway show. However, this is being split into 2 movies.
Of course
This
it is.
a 2-parter. And I've heard some speculation that maybe for the second part, they might take stuff from the book to fill out some time.
Now, let me tell you, because I think we spoke about this before, but I hate when they do part 1 and part 2. Just give me a 3-hour movie and finish your entire script within that time. Like, I hate having to wait like a year or 2 for that next movie, or just make it a number 2, like make it a second movie. It's a pet peeve of mine where it's like, just give me all of it at once.
Well,
but
yeah,
I'm also
this is our same conversation where you will wait till a show finishes airing before you watch any of it.
But for a show, that's different, fine. But for a movie, it's like, just give me the damn movie. Like, I know what they're doing. They're trying to do a money grab. Be like, we don't have anything in the future, so let's just make it the second movie. It's already fully written and filmed. I bet you any money.
It depends. I'm holding out judgment because not always. I don't know if that's necessarily true because even if it's written and filmed, there's still a lot of effects work and edit that goes into these kinds of productions. So I'm with you a little. Like, my instinct to this was, don't make it 2 parts. Why are you doing that?
Well, especially a movie like this, where like for an action movie or like different movies like that. Sure, you can kind of end it like on a cliffhanger and it works. But like for a movie that's supposed to be like this, for like a good example, just give me it all at once. Like, there's no reason why you can't.
But remember, Broadway show, it is 2 acts. There's an intermission in the middle. Like, it kind of makes. I think there's a way it makes sense from that perspective. Like,
But
where
give me
it's
an intermission in the
2
theater.
halves. Yeah, but I don't know, because sometimes you get these musicals and people are mad. You cut this song, you cut that song.
Right.
Like, if they're good, if both parts are good, then I'm all for it. I mean, that's ultimately what it. I don't care. As long as it's good, I don't care.
And as long as the movie company doesn't fold and we don't get the second one made, because I could see that happening. But anyway.
Yeah, and anyway, the other really big one that I was most excited about was Deadpool and Wolverine, which is now, I believe before this they were just referring to it as Deadpool 3. The official title now is Deadpool and Wolverine.
Well, this is the first time they announced the actual title? Was Super Bowl?
With that title at least.
Well,
Yeah. We knew Wolverine was going to be in it, but we didn't know it was going to have that title. But I try to avoid most trailers, and usually Marvel movies are the ones I avoid even more because I feel like they often give stuff away a lot of the times. But this was an instance where I just was too curious. I was like, I need to know what this movie, I'm probably going to regret it, but I just really want to see what this is going to look like.
Now, I mentioned it in our one of our first episodes about Deadpool that I've never seen a Deadpool film. But, like,
Right.
I feel like even seeing a trailer for it, you kind of get the gist of it going into it, what it's kind of going to be if you've seen the film before, I'm sure.
The vibe, yeah, but this one is very different because this is the first time we're entering the rest of the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Right.
And they, minor spoilers if you're not watching the trailers, but they're integrating aspects from the Loki TV show. It's the way that they're doing that. I got very excited for. I know it's no longer cool to like Marvel movies, but I'm really hyped for this based on that trailer. I can't. They didn't even show Hugh Jackman in the trailer at all.
Right.
You see Wolverine, but you don't actually even see his face. But so what they've shown already, I'm ready for this. I'm really excited.
Well, because you're definitely a person
number
who's
one.
like since the beginning has been engulfed in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which I feel like that's what it is now. It's like you need to. This is your movie life, or this isn't, and that's where I think like the people are getting upset with.
Yeah, I don't know if you need to. I mean, it depends on the movie. I'm
Right.
sure you'll be able to watch this and you won't.
A standalone and be fine with it. Yeah. Now,
I'm sure you'll get more out of it if you have seen other movies, but
Now, the other one that was the trailer I loved. I've never seen any of these movies, but the Minions trailer. That was just a funny commercial.
let's please Despicable Me 4.
Okay,
It's
Despicable
not
Me
Minions.
4, the trailer. I'm sorry, but it was funny because it was copying an AI commercial, and it was just trying to blend in with other commercials. Then it's like, oh no, wait, you hear the Minions in the background laughing and talking. What is this commercial? Oh, it's for the Despicable Me 4.
Having watched the first Minions movie, I can tell you that commercial is funnier than anything in the first
Oh, I'm
Minions
sure.
movie.
Well, because we're
Not
also-
Despicable Me, Minions.
We're also not 12.
Yeah, but there's good kids movies that are funny. It's not. Don't give them that out. It can still suck.
But I
Even
feel
if it's
like
not for adults.
that was a well-crafted Super
funny.
Bowl commercial. Because
Yeah.
it wasn't just here's the trailer, which people are like, oh, let me just get up and go get a beer or do whatever. This was like, oh, what is this weird commercial that people? Oh, okay. And the other weird one for me,
Wacky
with
Minions.
the same vibe, was the Invisible Friends, Imaginary Friends commercial. Because did you get the joke from that?
What was this? Tell me what the joke was. I'll tell you if I got it.
So you watched The Office. Do you remember the episode where it was Asian Jim?
Oh, right.
And that I feel like I'm
Well,
assuming
we should say for people who didn't watch it, Randall Park pretends to be John Krasinski, the director, who he also played in The Office as a joke for an episode for the opening or something. Yeah,
which I thought was clever because it took me a second, but I'm like, oh, that's literally what they're doing. But it's like, how many people actually got that joke?
I didn't remember it until you said it. So, but it's funny it's a joke by itself. You don't need the context.
But there's a whole backstory. I'm sure you've heard of it. Of Randall Park didn't know, he was on The Office. It was one of his first acting gigs or whatever, early ones. And he was like, okay, fine, nobody will ever understand this joke. Nobody knows who I am. For years afterwards, he forgot the episode that he was on, and people would be like, hey, Asian Jim. And he was like, is this some kind of slur? What's going on? Because he forgot he was in the episode until he was like, oh, right. So, that's one of his most quoted things.
Did he talk about this on the Office Ladies podcast?
It was Conan.
Oh, okay.
Or one of the nighttime shows that are on. But
I do like Randall Park. And that movie, the only reason I am sort of interested in it is because John Krasinski is directing. I didn't think that trailer looked very good.
Have you seen any of the other trailers for that movie?
No.
It doesn't look great.
But I don't know.
It's like a
trailers
thing
can be
that's
misleading.
It's been done before, kind of, but it's like, okay, it's cute for, like I said, it's cute for kids, and it's another thing that what's his name can dip his money into when he's not using Mint Mobile.
Ryan Reynolds, yeah. I thought the Quiet Place Day One trailer. I don't know that the trailer looked fine, but I'm interested in it because I think Lupita Nyong'o is really a good actress, and it's from the guy who directed the Nicolas Cage movie Pig, which also is really good. And I like the Quiet Place movies, so
It was too loud for me. Very loud.
I know. They should have called it A Quiet Place: loud.
the louder movie. No, it looked good because I loved that movie as well. I want to see this. And this is one of those movies, again, you need to see it in a theater or have headphones on.
Yeah, I did not watch the only trailer I purposely didn't watch was the Planet of the Apes trailer because I already saw the first one and it's already too
Honestly,
much.
not to give too much away from it, but have you seen any of the Planet of the Apes trailers? Then you've seen this one.
Okay.
Like it's literally the same. Like I don't have the same love for those movies as you do, but it's literally like it's how much can you show in a trailer that hasn't been shown in the other 45 trailers that we've seen of the newer movies. Like,
right.
It's that kind of thing. It's like there's always going to be the final scene of, oh, there's an ape looking into the camera. Like that's how it,
There's apes in it. Let's go. There's apes.
So it's like you don't miss much. But I understand why you didn't watch it because you want to see it fresh. But
I just don't need to. I got that out of my system,
And truthfully, you don't need to. Like this is one, and it was a full 2.5 minute trailer. So it's like, okay.
Right. I mean, there are some other ones I thought were cool, but those were the big ones. I don't know anything else you want to highlight or if that's good enough.
No, that was roughly the order I thought because like I like a good trailer as long as it's not, too gimmicky, too whatever. But I also like during Super Bowl you get those weird trailers. Like I said, the Despicable Me one or the If one or stuff like that where it's like we need to try to get these people hooked without just showing them a movie trailer. Because a lot of people don't have the attention span or it's like, they're sports people. So they're there to be watching this game.
Idiots.
Or, I'm sorry, the Taylor Swift concert that we watched.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And, it's a different way to, like, trick them into being like, oh, there's a movie coming out. So I do like that it is a different vibe of a movie trailer. Like, a different way to advertise a movie that's not a movie trailer. Because you're right. A lot of times movie trailers will just show you the beginning, the middle, and the end, and you don't need to see the movie. We need to have a different way to advertise said movies.
And this is for people who aren't movie people.
Right.
A lot of them, like, these are the movies they're going to know about that are coming out this year. Like, this is
as I was scrolling through the list of trailers that came out, I'm like, yeah, these are the big movies this year.
Yeah, it's the blockbusters. Because, no one else is paying for, the new Greta Gerwig, unless it's Barbie.
Right. But I do love, so the new thing that they're doing, I guess not really new, but in theaters, they do, instead of a trailer, they'll do BTS footage. Like they'll show them
the Korean pop band.
Mm-hmm. They show behind the scenes footage of the movie and they say, whatever movie it is coming out next fall. So that's like another way that I like it as somebody who likes movies to get me into seeing it, but it's not the trailer.
Yeah, that can be fun. Like, do you like when the director comes out in front of the movie and says, thanks for coming?
I do when they do like they give you more information. But a lot of times you can tell it's like, all right, who's this for? AMC. Okay, let me do this.
Sometimes it's like you direct actors every day and that's the best you can act.
Hello, welcome to the movies.
Thank you for coming to see Mission Impossible.
Like
do
you
I
can
say
see
the colon? You made this film. I don't know. Okay.
You can see their eyes moving on the teleprompter back and forth.
Or something, even like when it's like Mission Impossible, like I think Tom Cruise was there. Even he was like, like you act, you're an actor.
Because I have a feeling
the best you could do.
It's like when they do those interview circuits. This is
Right.
like number 8,000 that we had to do today.
Yeah. All right. Well, there's some good stuff there. You can find all the trailers online if you missed them. Fun things coming out this year. Always excited about what's coming up. If you were at a Super Bowl party yourself, of course, one of the big things of a Super Bowl is
movie trailers.
And while you're there, you get
wings.
And once you eat the wings, you're going to want to wash them down with
milk.
And then when you decide to have a little after, you mix some of the milk with
alcohol.
That's right. You have a little
alcohol.
White Russian.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Everybody likes to have a little bit of a drink, or do they? Well, we're going to find out today. Today's case comes to us from the internet. You can find a link in our episode description. Our defendant is Tina. Tina is sober. So sober, in fact. She doesn't even allow any alcohol in her house. This is due to experiences with alcoholism in her family in the past. She just doesn't want any of it around. Lately, Tina and her friends have started a monthly board game and card game night. And it's now coming up to her turn to host. At past game nights, there has been some alcohol involved, and Tina's okay with other people drinking around her, but since it's at her house, she reminds everyone that she has no alcohol in her house. It's an alcohol-free zone. Don't bring any drinks unless it's alcohol-free wine or alcohol-free beer, if that's what you're into. And some of her friends now, as a result of this, are upset, saying that it's unfair for her not to allow them to bring their own drinks, that Tina is a hypocrite for being okay with them drinking around her other times, but not at her own house, and even that she's being a bad host and a bad friend. As dual judges here on Geeks on Trial, it's now our job to determine whether Tina's being Mina or if her drink-free Cena's peachy Keena. Like a peach schnapps.
There's a hard P in that microphone.
A peach snap.
Peach snap. What is your drink of choice? Like when you go out somewhere.
My drink of choice.
Do you have
so rare.
Do you have like a drink that you like? What is your like? You go to the bar. Be it at a wedding. Oh, wedding drinks is different. But like, be it you go out to the bar. You're at a restaurant. You're somewhere where there's alcohol being served. A full bar. Beers, wines, liquors. What are you drinking from the bar?
I'll do water.
Okay, me too.
I am so boring. I mean, 9 times out of 10 in that case, it's just beer. Probably, if they have like a special, interesting looking one that's like a house beer or a local brewery or something.
Do you have a go-to beer
go for that?
Like in general?
Brand-wise, I like Blue Moon.
Okay.
But use anything like that, anything that's like a wheat or like a lager or a blonde ale or whatever, I like those. I know so little about what the fuck I'm talking about.
Oh, right. Well, but we're not those guys. We're not the IPA guys, you know.
We're not yeah. But in terms of cocktails, again, I'm so boring. Like my usual go-to, but the thing is for me, I only will really do this at a wedding. I'm never really going to a bar and getting a cocktail.
Yeah.
But it's like I like rum and Coke, which is again
right. A basic,
the most fucking boring drink. But I like Coke, so put some rum in there.
But also, it's not a drink that they can screw up either.
That's true too.
Or like it's going to be watered down or whatever.
I have gotten a little bit like I actually like a gin and tonic.
Okay.
I think is pretty good. And I mean, something like an old fashioned. I'll sometimes just. I've only learned from being at enough weddings I'll be like, yeah, let me just switch it up and try something different. But
well, that's the thing at a wedding too, because like you're not paying for it, so it's like
right.
Let me try. I've been sober for about 4 years at this point. I haven't had alcohol, non-alcoholic alcohol, but not. I don't count that as because non-alcoholic. But yeah, it's been about 4 years because the pandemic hit hard, and I hit the alcohol hard during the pandemic. So we're like, let's stop.
You said that if Trump wins this year, you'll assume you'll start drinking
heavily. Like, oh, what is that? Everclear? Done.
So before you were sober, what was your drink of choice?
So I would like look at the menus at we would go to casinos like Atlantic City and stuff, and they have a computer there that you can get free drinks, and you can go through and be like, oh, I want to try this. Oh, this is mostly old people things. But best bang for my buck was always a Manhattan, because that was like it's alcohol mixed with alcohol with like a little bit of cherry juice in it or whatever. Again don't know what I'm talking about. That's probably not how you make it, but it's a sipping thing where it's just like you're sipping alcohol throughout the night, and like if you want to spend less money and it's not bad. Beer wise, I was never a huge beer drinker just because I want fruity things. I want flavor in it. I do like a Blue Moon. I do like during the pumpkin season, like the Sam Adams pumpkin lager or winter lager or whatever they have. Yeah. Other than that, like if we were to go to like the gay bars, we would get like it's has coconut liqueur in it. It's like a sunrise or something one of those things where it's like coconut liqueur, orange juice, and rum. And it's just like it's a nice fruity drink that's I was never a shots person. When I was like 20, like when I first like started drinking, sure, or like at a college party, but like I like flavor.
I don't have much interest in doing a shot. Once in a while, if a bunch of people are doing it, it's kind of fun, I guess.
Right.
But
Or
It's
like if I was already drunk and I wanted to get drunker, it's like, all right, I don't care at this point. It's all,
Yeah, I want it to taste good. That's what, like I say, a beer is my go-to because I think it tastes good. I like the taste of beer. So it's fun, an ice creamy alcoholic drink is fun. A pina colada or something.
A wine too. It's like because there's like so many different varietals of wine.
I'm not a wine guy. Yeah.
I would with dinner. Like if we were going to a family function and it's like, okay, fine.
But even then, it almost feels like when I have wine with dinner, like if it's like a holiday or something, it's like, oh, there's wine on the table. It feels like I'm playing pretend. It's like, oh, I'm a grown up with my wine. Like I don't really like it. I don't even like white wine. I like a little better. I honestly don't even understand what people like about red wine. I think it tastes bad.
Like have you eaten a sock before? That's what you're eating. It's gross. It's dry. I always was a Moscato fan because like,
oh yeah, that's good
it's juice.
As hell.
You're drinking alcohol juice.
That's the good shit. Yeah, I love that. That's at my cousin's Rosh Hashanah dinner. They always have a Moscato on the table, and I'm like, ooh, give me the good shit. Load me up.
Well, if you want sweet wine, speaking of Jewish wine, what is it, Manischewitz, where it's basically just red wine with Kool-Aid?
Sucks. Manischewitz sucks.
Well,
I don't like wine, so
right.
I don't know, but
so would you be upset if you went to an event when you're not an avid drinker, but you drink?
Yeah, like I'm really not. Yeah, it's interesting. So the defendant in this case is 37.
Okay. So
she's a few years older than us, but in our age range. Mm-hmm. Whereas most of our cases sometimes are like from 14-year-olds.
Right.
This is an adult. I feel like when we started having game nights, which were weekly and not monthly, so that's also different.
Right.
But post college, like when we were in our mid-20s, not every week, but I feel like it was common to have maybe like a 6-pack of beer or something around. Somebody would have some alcohol.
We were also in that age range too, where it's like, that
was still fun.
Right.
I don't. It's very rare now that I have any alcohol. Like if I'm at dinner with friends at an interesting place, I might have a beer.
Right.
Or if somebody brings it, or if it's like New Year's. Otherwise, almost never drinking, ever really.
Well, and also too, unless you're like, because our friend group isn't really a drink. Like we have a few people who do drink, but it's not like we all drink. And it's like, oh, if everyone's not drinking, I don't want to be the drunk person in the room. I don't want to be, that guy, or I don't want to be, but if it's like you said, like a New Year's event where it's like basically a holiday based around drinking, but like, or anything like that, but even like when we did drink, it was like, we wouldn't get, and those rare occasions, we wouldn't get like shit-faced drunk unless it was like that kind of event.
Right. I do remember a one New Year's Eve of trying to play a game called, this was years ago, called Kemet, which is an Egyptian-themed war game where you're all battling each other. And one guy was sober, didn't drink, and there were like 3 other people. I don't know. I think they were drunk. I know I was drunk. And there was like... No, we were young enough to be ambitious of like, oh yeah, we can play board games. Who cares? I'm drinking. I don't think we got 2 turns into it. I had no idea what the hell's going on.
And it felt like it was like an 8-hour game. Right. But I could see like, if you do drink and it's like, okay, this is our monthly outing. I want to have a beer or a glass of wine with something. Most people in their, mid 30s aren't, going to get drunk like they would, or some are, but it's not.
It depends where you live, I guess, too. Yeah, because I feel like you're in Wisconsin or something, like that's.
But I do think too, because like around now, like a lot of bars are closing and restaurants that are like bar themed are closing. I think our generation and the younger generations aren't as go out and get drunk kind of thing. You're right. It depends. Like if you're like in Midwest and there's literally nothing to do besides get drunk and shoot things, fine. But like I've seen this even like locally, and you live in like a more downtown area where like the bars are closing or becoming more of a restaurant that happens to have a bar in it.
Mm. Yeah, I did see an article the other day. I don't remember where it was or how official it was, but that said Gen Z is drinking less than previous generations. That
It makes sense for like a number of things. A, weed is legal now in most states, so why, there's that. Two, if you go to a bar, alcohol is very expensive at a bar. Like, especially like if you live near a city or a coast, like, it used to cost me and my partner, if we would go to a bar, $100 just to have a few drinks out. And it's like, that's insanely expensive.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot of money, and it's tough out there these days in this economy. This economy is tough out there for these kids. Mm-hmm. They're hustling, they're influencing on the gram.
Well, that's the other thing. You can't drink while you're doing videos.
What do you mean? While you're making them? While you're recording them?
Well, YouTube has a thing where you can't drink on your videos.
But what if you have a sponsorship?
Well, you just show up drunk. That's fine.
Right. Yeah. Everyone knows you're drunk. It's like, what about getting Doug with high? Isn't that doesn't he just smoke pot on stage?
Well, pot's different.
Pot's different.
But like, would you if you went to a game night, and like you said, our average game nights, we really don't drink. If somebody does, it'll be like, oh, here's a Mike's Hard Lemonade, or like it's something where it's like your alcohol content's going to go up very little, and it's like we'll eat with something or whatever. Would you be upset if like you went to a game night and you weren't drinking and everyone was drunk, or vice versa? If you were a drinker and it was at a sober person's house, would that bother you?
Oh, interesting. Well, the first one is, why am I not drinking in the first scenario is the question. Am I sober in this scenario?
Sure. Like, would you be upset as a sober person? Because like I could literally answer
you're
that.
A sober person, so yeah, maybe you should answer that.
It doesn't bother. I've been in those situations. We had New Year's Eve party this last New Year's Eve.
Right.
I was fine because I'm the kind of person who enjoys watching drunk people do stupid drunk things.
Yeah. You get a contact buzz.
And like if I were to host a game night, I wouldn't care if people were to come and drink. But I understand it, like if there were problems, you own this is your party, your house, your standards. It'd be like if you, not to make it sound so like we're poo-pooing on this, but like, you go to somebody's house and they're like, no shoes, please. You don't just walk in and go, I'm not taking my shoes. Okay, then leave.
Yeah, I think one of the things that complicates this a little bit, as we've said before, is the fact that this is monthly.
Right.
And I'm wondering if the people involved in this friend group, presumably they're all in their mid to late 30s, good chance they're couples with kids, and maybe this is one of the only times each month they get to socialize. So for some of them, it's like, if you take away my drinking from this, this was my relaxation time for the month.
Right.
And I can see that being a bummer.
But you also have to look at it the other side too. It's like, okay, if to have a good time, you need to drink or like to chill out, that's kind of sad as well.
I agree.
And I just want to put this out there. I'm not one of those sober people who is like, anti-drinking or anything. I did it for health reasons and other stuff like that. If I could, I would be drunk right now. This podcast would be better. But, I understand both sides of it. And I also see like, going out and having a good time to me is getting, having alcohol, then maybe that's a little bit of an issue, but whatever.
I think it tells us something about the types of games they're probably playing at this event.
Right.
It can't, because if they're that adamant about drinking, they're not over there playing the latest, I don't know, Vital Lacerda Euro game that's like,
well, but it depends.
Real
Maybe
heavy.
That's what this game, the host wants. I want to play a heavier game and drinking would be bad during it.
I really wonder. I wish that she mentioned specific games in the case, because I'm guessing that they are playing the basic stuff, that it's maybe apples to apples to maybe Catan.
But possibly. I also wish we got in the case too, what drinking, is it like, three people are sharing a 6-pack of beer, or is it like we're polishing off a bottle of rum tonight?
Yeah, her issue with it doesn't sound like, is what maybe my issue would be in a case like this, is when people get too drunk at a game night and they can no longer function, like we were saying about Komet. which was, it was New Year's, so that was one thing. But if you're having a weekly get together, sometimes it's annoying if you're trying to play a game and one person is just wasted and they don't know what the fuck the rules are. They don't know what cards are in their hand.
Because at that point, it turns into a different party.
It's a different kind of party. That's when Jackbox goes on the TV and you're not trying to play a game with rules more complicated than Uno. But she doesn't indicate any of that stuff. So for her, it sounds like this is purely about the alcohol itself, just what it represents being in her house. And the argument from the other side might be like, look, we're just gonna and I'm playing devil's advocate a little bit here because I do think I side more with her right now.
Yeah.
But you could a little bit see an argument of, you're at my house, I've got a beer, I'm drinking, we're playing a game. Mm-hmm. We go to your house, I've got a beer, I'm drinking, we're playing the game. When I leave, I'll take the beer with me. I'm not going to leave it in your house.
Right.
Isn't it like, is it that big of a difference, just the location?
Well, it might be too. So what I boil this down to, whenever people are like, oh, you don't like drinking, but think about it if this was smoking. If somebody, either be it cigarettes, cigars, marijuana, weed, whatever, would you be upset if, oh, this is a non-smoking house? Okay, but I'm just going to have one cigarette as we play. Like people don't get, like people are very like upset about weed and cigarettes because they have a physical smell to them and they leave stuff behind. But alcohol is kind of like, oh, no, it's fine. Especially here in the U.S. where alcohol is, I think, like, government gets behind it. Like, people are getting payouts from the alcohol industry, just like they do with other things. Where, like, we get upset where people are like, oh, no, we don't smoke in this house. But I don't want to drink. Well, you're a weirdo. Why don't you drink?
Right.
I get that question a lot where people are like, oh, feel free to bring alcohol. Oh, I don't drink. Oh, was there a problem? Right. No, I just stopped drinking. Like,
yeah.
So like I do, with this story, it did bring up that where it's like, where here we film in New Jersey, recreational and medical marijuana are both legal. If you put it in the same boat as that, it's like, oh, do you want someone just, token up in your house?
Hey, alcohol, you could spill that on the game. You could ruin some cards with a drink on the table, too.
And alcohol, too, like, it does have, like, an odor to it. There's smells to it. But, I just brought that up to, just think about, because, like, you are a non-smoker. You live in a place that doesn't have smoking. If someone would be like, hey, I'm just going to have a quick cigarette in your apartment, you'd be like, get the F out of my apartment. What's wrong with you?
No, I'd probably be like, okay.
Can I have one too?
But like, I don't want to fight.
But if it was alcohol, I'd be like, okay, that's fine. So that's where like my mindset is at this, because I am kind of like, I agree with the what's her name?
Did
they not get names this episode?
Tina. No, it's Tina. Because rhymes with Mina.
Yep. Tina. So I kind of agree with Tina, but I also like, because like, you host a party, this is your rules. It'd be like if you were vegetarian, you host a game night. Oh, we're going to eat here. Do you mind if I order, a burger or cook burger? No, you can't. This is my house, my rules. If you don't like it, don't come that week.
Sounds like you're verdictizing.
I am, but I'm also like, I feel like I shouldn't be, because like there's more like, is there more questions to ask, or is this like an open and shut case? Like, what do you think?
I mean, I think we've asked most of the questions. Does it make any difference to you if it's a board game night versus a video game night versus a book club versus anything else?
I could see, because you brought up the example of like trying to play I wish we knew the game. If it was a heavier game, movie night. Don't want people to be drunk. Movie nights to me too would fall under the like, because then you start having people getting rowdy and talking during the films. So like that could be an issue where it's like, oh, I want you to watch this movie. Video games, I don't have that issue with, because
I think you have to know your friend group too, because some people can drink a bunch of alcohol and be cool and play a game. They're like functioning alcoholics, and they're okay with it. And some people will get sloppy drunk and it's not okay.
But it's also like this is a friend group, so they know Tina's rules, and they agreed to have her host a game night.
Right.
You know, be it a thing or not, or it's like, okay, fine, we need to have Tina host. But like, you know these rules, so why push back on Tina when, you know, these are set rules? You know, it's either we're having our meetup or why don't you just host it? Because I'm sure, because you host game nights.
I do
quite often.
It's true.
Now,
it's
if somebody,
happened before.
You know, you have certain guidelines, certain whatevers. But if somebody was like, "Hey, I don't like the way you do this," I feel like you would just be like, "Then why don't you host it, or just don't come?"
Yeah, no one's ever criticized the real element of my. But I mean, our game nights are so like again. When it's once a month, and I think for people also, they're new to this board game night game.
Right.
And when we started out too, it was more of an event. People would bring soda, snacks.
Right.
You'd have sometimes you'd have upwards of 10 people. They'd come early. They'd stay late. It was like, wow, this is fun. Plus, we were also younger then.
Right.
And when you do it the way we do it now, which is almost every single week, it feels just more like here. It's no longer a party. It's just we're here to play some games. We hang out.
Well, it's our weekly activity.
Right. It doesn't have that same essence of specialness.
Right.
That once a month you're like, oh, I'm going to cut loose, have a beer, and we're hanging out. It's like, again, as someone who's not a big drinker, some people are drinking every weekend,
right.
And that's what they do. But for me, it's like that's more of this is for us once in a while.
And we do we have our weekly game nights, but then for somebody's birthday, we'll have that bigger party-ish thing, or a Halloween, or we do have those probably every 2 months there'll be a different turn on it where it's like more people will come out.
That sounds too frequent, honestly.
That's what
maybe 3 or 4 times a year. I don't know.
Yeah, but we'll have that event that's not a game night, but there's still games at it because we're nerds. So I didn't want to come into this case thinking oh, I already know the case, I have a side. But I'm ready I'm ready for my verdicts.
Yeah, it's fine. We have our sides. Go ahead. I feel like you've mostly said it already.
So this is basically Tina versus the friend group. Right?
Yeah.
There's no
there are some not all of the friends are against her, but some are. Yeah.
So Tina, I really don't think is in the wrong here at all, because she is opening her house for this monthly game night. And it's not like she's just like, oh, I don't like drinking. She has issues with alcoholism in her family. There might have been some, we don't know, assault issue. There's actual background things that
too much or not enough on the rim of a margarita glass.
Right. Or
assault issues.
Yeah.
I made light of a serious trauma,
which is good. But so it's not like she was like, oh, I don't like drinking, no drinking at my house. There was she had a backstory to it. So and then to be those friends to be like, well, that's weird, we're going to bring alcohol anyway. You're just being an asshole saying stuff like that. Respect the boundaries that this person who is opening up the house is giving you, or host it yourself. So that's why I have to say Tina is in no way guilty at all. So Tina, 100% not guilty.
That's an NG from the Big I.
NG from the Big I. That's my shirt. That's my tattoo. How'd you know about that?
I moonlight as a tattoo artist.
That was you?
I wear a disguise to look like human guys, but I'm not a man. I'm a chicken boo. All right. Anyway. Folks, here's my verdict now. Verdict time.
I'm going to start drinking again.
Verdict time, engage. I hit the mic a little bit. I think there would be a difference in this story if it were for something like a New Year's or even a Halloween. If this was some kind of a party, a traditional for a holiday or a birthday like we were talking about, and she was saying, I don't do alcohol, I would feel like we should have it somewhere else if that's your policy, because that's the kind of event that people are doing this for the alcohol.
Right.
I don't feel personally that a board game night, for some people it is. For me, it's not that level. But at the same time, like I said, I think it's very different for people who aren't coming from a background of board games as a hobby. That they're here kind of for socializing first, gaming secondary. So I sort of understand why people might be annoyed by this. That said, I think the reaction to it is too strong, is going too far. And ultimately, as you said, at the end of the day, it's her house. It's her rules. Like, that's the end of the story. And and especially, it's not like she just made this up. She's sober. She's had this thing in practice for a long time.
New. Like, I'm assuming she knows these people quite well friends. And they know her.
It feels very, very shitty to react in this way and say, "Oh, this is unfair." And like, those people? I think maybe are alcoholics. If you really can't go that one night, you can't endure.
And this is your one out. That's like, oh, I need to be out of the house and drink. This is my drinking night.
Like with your friends,
right?
That you can't just enjoy that without any substance in you,
right?
You have a problem, I think, genuinely. So I can't. Like I said, there's maybe, and it's a rotating game night, so it's like just deal with it the one time. It's not like she hosts it every single week. Then maybe it could be annoying or something. Right. I don't know.
And hey, I mean, you haven't given your verdict yet, but like, hey, when you go home, go have a drink.
Yeah, you could get a designated driver. Maybe you could try and pre-game it if you're that desperate.
Or after the game's over,
go to the bar. Yeah,
like,
sure. Something. Anyway, obviously she's not guilty.
So what would be her punishment? She has to drink an entire gallon of alcohol? No, she doesn't have a punishment. Never mind. What would be the friend's punishment? They have to do a dry January.
Yeah, a dry 2024.
That was not easy to say. Dry January.
I think you did fine.
Dry, unique New York. Yeah.
I think we go the other direction. I think they have to go to a game night and they get wasted, but then they have to play some super complex board games, learn the rules for the first time while wasted, and you do not let them fall asleep.
Like an Axis and Allies, like a long game.
Yeah, Twilight Imperium. It may be too far. Maybe Twilight Struggle.
And if you don't get a high enough score, you got to keep drinking. Like, you got to go.
You keep drinking. But maybe they would like that too much. I don't know. There's got to be a downside.
And for that, you also have to get a game that might be waterproof because somebody's puking.
Yeah, they have to buy a copy. It's theirs.
It's theirs.
They have to buy it. Something like that, or I don't know, or just go to an AA meeting. Maybe that's
right. That's the other thing. Now, have you ever had? We've hosted, like I said, we've been hosting game nights for years and people drinking. Have you ever had anybody ruin one of your games by like spilling, puking, whatever? Like, we've never really had that issue.
I have been present for one or two spill incidents.
And I think I probably know the person.
Probably. I don't think it's ever been one of my games. Or if it was minor. But it happens. You play board games for a decade.
And that's the other thing.
Something's going to spill.
Too, when it's like when you bring alcohol into it, because people get a little bit sloppier. That's just what happens with alcohol, and the alcohol is on the table. So yeah, I'm wondering, that could be another big issue too. Like, I wouldn't bring out my big expensive games for this. Right. But
yeah. So you can get the nice board game tables with the cup holders.
Those are fun.
Yeah. Or some people have the rule, no drinks on the table.
Right. That's why you have a secondary table.
We have that. If there's a spill, it's like, all right, no more drinks on the table, and then a month later, like. We can loosen that up a little bit. Right. I trust you now.
You guys
gained my trust. It's very rare. We really have not had very many spills in our group. We're pretty careful.
I jinxed us for next week.
Yeah, probably. Or people will have like water bottles or something, so that's a safer alternative. Hey, you out there watching or listening, that's right. I'm talking to you, not you,
Oh.
the people at home. What's your verdict on this case? We gave our opinion, but maybe you just fucking love drinking and you disagree. You can send us an email at geeksontrial@gmail.com. You can also use that email address or even our handy-dandy form. There's a link in our description, which will let you submit your own case. It could be about board game night. It could be about a movie theater experience. Anything that's geeky, maybe a musical event, maybe a Super Bowl trailer reveal, whether it's male or female. Let us know. Email us. Submit those cases. We'd love all that stuff. We'll put you on the show. We'll protect your names and shit. Don't worry about it. Just come on.
And let us know in the comments below and hit that thumbs up and all that. Tell us, what is your drink of choice when you're playing board games? Do you have a board game themed drink that you like to bring out? Because I'm sure there's plenty of game and alcohol pairings. It's like a fine wine with your game of Uno. What do you like? Let us know in the comments down below. And also, if you want to help support the show and help support us by buying, alcohol, head on over to patreon.com/geeksontrial. And for just $5 a month, you gain early access to these episodes early. That's the early access. You gain it early before other people. And you gain access to our show called Sidebar. It comes out twice a month. It's a great show. It's us talking, shooting the breeze, and having a fun time.
Yeah, people who are on the Patreon will have this. It'll be real timely because it'll be like the next day after the Super Bowl.
Sure.
And everyone else has got to wait until Wednesday like a bunch of fucking idiots.
So give us your money, and we can have fun with it.
We sure can. For Apples to Apples, you could have an Apple Teeny.
There you go. Now, where can people find you when you're...
you didn't want me to keep going?
No.
For Catan, you could have wheat ale.
A wheat ale. That's a good one. Trying to think of another good game.
For Wingspan, you could have a bird. If you'd like to follow me online, you can. Go to jonathanestis.com. You'll find links to all my stuff over there. I've got another podcast I do called The Yerky Boys, where I review and read through and analyze every book in the Animorphs book series. We're about, I think we're a little more than halfway done right now. It's pretty exciting. So check that out over there at my website and all my socials and whatever the hell else is on the screen.
And for Hive Mind, you can do a mead. It's a honey-based alcohol.
Good. You could have said... apiary? Is that a bee zone? Apiary? That's a new one coming out from Stonemaier.
I couldn't have if it's new.
Okay. What about you, Ivan? Where can they find you?
Oh, you can find all of my stuff over at ivanhan.com, and I have a brand new episode of The Snack Guy dropping this week where I review Pocky and what else did I review? I forgot what the brand new episode is going to be. But I did Pocky just last week, and this week I'm doing something fun, some kind of snack-related thing, I'm sure. That's over at youtube.com/thesnackguy.
Must be good. It's so good if you can't even remember it.
So good I forgot what snack I ate.
Now for, I had another one. For Risk,
Mm-hmm.
you could drink just too much.
That's how you make the game fun. You just...
Yeah, you risk liver damage.
Right, that's it.
Okay. Thanks so much, everybody. If you're watching us, you know we're a podcast. And if you're listening, you know we're on YouTube. Comment, let us know what you think. Thanks so much for joining us. It's been another one. I'd say this case is officially closed. We could start saying that from now on.
Well, it would have been a good cutting point, but we still have more after
My
that.
name's Jonathan Estes.
I'm Ivan Hahn, and this case is officially closed.
Okay. Okay.